Welcome to Summary Central, where we take big, powerful concepts and turn them into small, bite-sized chunks that you can actually use. This is your 30-minute summary of Be Useful, 7 Tools for Life by Arnold Schwarzenegger. Introduction: The blueprint of a useful life. If you ask Arnold Schwarzenegger what the secret to success is, he won't give you a one-liner. He'll give you a look, that confident, knowing grin that says, "I told you already, be useful." Arnold's life reads like fiction. A kid from a tiny Austrian village who didn't speak English becomes the greatest bodybuilder of all time, a Hollywood megastar, and the governor of California. But be useful isn't about fame or fortune. It's about something deeper, about living in a way that matters. Arnold says the world doesn't need more dreamers. It needs doers, people who take what they have and make something from it. This book is his playbook for doing exactly that. 7 tools anyone can use to turn potential into purpose. But before the 7 tools, there's the foundation, the mindset. Arnold learned early that you can't wait for opportunity. You have to build it. He grew up in Thal, Austria, a small house, 1 bathroom for the entire family, strict parents, and a father who demanded discipline. From the outside, it looked limiting, but to Arnold, it was fuel. When he saw his first bodybuilding magazine, he didn't see muscles, he saw freedom. He decided he'd become the best bodybuilder in the world, move to America, and live the life he imagined. Everyone said it was impossible. But that's the thing about vision. No one else has to see it but you. Tool 1, have a clear vision. Arnold believes everything begins with vision. Without it, you drift. With it, you can move mountains. When he was 15, he saw a picture of Reg Park, a bodybuilder who became Hercules in the movies, and that was it. Arnold's brain lit up. That's who I'll be. He plastered pictures of Reg Park all over his wall, studied his training routine, and built his life around that image. Vision gives direction to effort. Arnold didn't just want muscles. He wanted a life in America, a career in film, a platform to inspire millions. That vision made 5 a.m. workouts feel easy. It gave meaning to sacrifice. He says, if you don't have a clear goal, you're just wandering. You'll never end up anywhere useful. Having a vision doesn't mean knowing every step. It means having a destination that pulls you forward. For Arnold, the vision wasn't optional. It was oxygen. When he left Austria, he didn't speak the language, didn't know anyone, and had almost no money. But he had a picture in his head that was more powerful than fear. And here's what he wants you to understand. Vision isn't just for careers. It's for life. Ask yourself, what do I want to see when I look back at my life? If the answer is blurry, that's where to start. The clearer your vision, the simpler your decisions become. Everything is either helping you get there or it's not. Arnold's mornings in the gym weren't about lifting weights. They were about lifting his future. Every rep was a vote for the person he was becoming. And that's how he defines usefulness. Not just doing what's easy or expected, but doing what aligns with your vision of who you could be. Tool 2, never think small. Arnold says most people fail not because they aim too high and miss, but because they aim too low and hit. In the 1970s, when bodybuilding was a fringe sport, he didn't just want to win Mr. Olympia. He wanted to make bodybuilding mainstream. He wanted to make the world fall in love with it. That's the difference between ambition and vision. Ambition is climbing a mountain. Vision is moving the whole mountain range. Arnold's motto, if you're going to think anyway, think big. When he told people he'd be the biggest movie star in the world, they laughed. A thick Austrian accent, a name no one could pronounce, muscles too big for Hollywood? He didn't care. He thought in pictures, not limits. And thinking big didn't just change his life, it changed the industry. He brought superhero physiques to film before superhero movies even existed. He made bodybuilding glamorous. He made accents cool. Thinking big means refusing to let other people's imagination set the ceiling for yours. When people say be realistic, Arnold says, no, be useful. Because small thinking isn't useful. It doesn't help anyone. When you go big, even your failures lift others. He talks about how people often sabotage themselves with tiny thinking. They say, I could never do that. But the truth is, they've just never tried. Arnold says, you have to imagine a future so big that it scares you a little. That's how you know it's worth chasing. When you think small, you protect your ego. When you think big, you build your character. Arnold's definition of dreaming big isn't about fame or money, it's about impact. He tells a story about speaking at a school where a student asked, how do I know if my dream is too big? He smiled and said, if it doesn't make you work harder, it's not big enough. He never saw limits, only logistics. If he didn't know how to do something, he'd find someone who did. That's how he moved from bodybuilding to acting to politics. It wasn't luck, it was scale. He treated each new field like a gym, with reps, discipline, and imagination. So, whatever your dream is, double it. Then go after it like your life depends on it. Tool 3. Work your ass off. Arnold says this one is simple. Everyone wants the crown, but no one wants to sweat for it. He's blunt about it. There are no shortcuts. None. Zero. You can't cheat the grind. When people ask how he achieved so much, he says, because I outworked everyone. As a teenager, he trained 5 hours a day, went to school, and worked in construction at night. When he arrived in America, he took English classes, acted, trained, competed, and studied business all at once. He says, while you're sleeping, someone else is working. And he means it literally. He used to count how many hours were in a day, 24. He slept 6. That left 18. He divided them ruthlessly, training, learning, hustling. The key wasn't talent, it was time. He believes the biggest waste in the world isn't oil or money. It's potential that never got used. But working hard isn't about burnout, it's about purpose. He says, if you love what you do, it's not work, it's joy. That's why his work ethic never wavered. Even at the top of his game, he was never satisfied. He'd finish filming a blockbuster and go back to the gym the next morning. Why? Because the grind keeps you grounded. He tells a story about filming Conan the Barbarian. After 12 hours of sword fighting and riding horses, everyone else went home. Arnold went to the gym. The crew thought he was insane. He said, that's how you get to be the barbarian, not a barbarian. Work isn't punishment. It's preparation. It's how you prove to yourself you're serious. He's ruthless about excuses. He says, don't tell me you don't have time. You have time. You're just not using it right. He believes the difference between the greats and everyone else is simple. The greats keep going when it stops being fun. Arnold's approach is almost mathematical. If you're willing to work twice as hard, you'll get there in half the time. And if you're not willing, someone else will. So his advice is clear. Outwork them all. Not to impress people, but to become useful enough to yourself that you can be useful to the world. Tool 4. Sell, sell, sell. Arnold says, if you can't sell, you can't succeed. And he doesn't just mean selling products. He means selling yourself, your vision, and your ideas. When he arrived in America, no one cared about bodybuilding. To them, it was weird, oiled-up men flexing in tiny shorts. Arnold didn't complain about that. He marketed it. He turned muscles into aspiration. He sold the idea that the gym wasn't just for athletes, it was for everyone. He did interviews, wrote columns, smiled for cameras, and talked about the lifestyle as if it were Hollywood itself. And it worked. He says, if you believe in something, you have to make others believe in it too. Don't wait to be discovered. Sell what you have. In his mind, selling isn't manipulation. It's translation. It's showing the world why what you do matters. When he became an actor, he had to sell himself all over again. Hollywood said his accent was ridiculous. His body? Too big. His name? Unmarketable. Arnold's response? Then I'll make it marketable. He didn't hide his flaws. He leaned into them. He made his accent his signature. He made his body his brand. He made his name unforgettable. That's what selling really is, reframing rejection into identity. Arnold says the key to persuasion is confidence. If you walk into a room believing you have value, the world starts to believe it too. But if you walk in apologizing for existing, the world will agree. When he ran for governor, people asked why a Hollywood actor thought he could win. He said, because I know how to sell ideas. I sold bodybuilding, I sold movies, and now I'll sell a vision for California. And he did. He convinced millions of people that he wasn't just the Terminator. He was someone who understood hard work, accountability, and the American dream. Arnold's advice is blunt. Don't wait for the world to notice you. Make them see you. If your work is good, don't whisper about it. Tell people. Show up. Promote yourself like your life depends on it. Because in many ways, it does. He says, you can have the best idea in the world, but if no one knows about it, it's worthless. Learn to tell your story. In Arnold's world, selling isn't sleazy. It's service. It's how you connect your usefulness to people who need it. So if you've ever hesitated to promote yourself, remember, even Arnold had to pitch his dream, and he did it until the world listened. Tool 5. Shift gears. Arnold's fifth principle is about flexibility, knowing when to pivot without losing your purpose. He says life will force you to reinvent yourself again and again. The people who succeed aren't the strongest or the smartest. They're the ones who can shift gears without stalling. Arnold compares life to driving a manual car. You can't stay in one gear forever. You'll burn out your engine. Progress requires shifting. He says, every time I changed careers, I didn't abandon my past. I built on it. The discipline from bodybuilding became the backbone of his acting career. The storytelling from acting became the foundation for his leadership. Each phase gave him tools for the next one. He tells a story about visiting a friend who had been a famous musician but now struggled with relevance. Arnold said, you have to shift gears. The music doesn't have to stop, but maybe it's time for a new instrument. That's the point. Reinvention isn't betrayal. It's evolution. He believes people cling to identities that have expired. They say, I've always been this, or I can't start over. Arnold's answer? Why not? Don't get stuck in the version of yourself that no longer serves you. Shifting gears doesn't mean losing your drive. It means keeping the engine running longer. And when life knocks you sideways, divorce, loss, failure, it's not the end. It's a signal. Time to shift. He admits he's made mistakes, personal and professional, but every time he chose motion over misery. He didn't wallow. He redirected. And that's how he defines real strength. Not staying the same, but staying useful no matter what changes. Tool 6. Shut your mouth, open your mind. This one surprises people. Arnold, the larger-than-life, loud, commanding figure telling you to shut up, but he means it literally. He says the biggest reason people don't grow is because they're too busy talking to listen. When you think you already know everything, you stop learning. Arnold credits his greatest successes to curiosity. He says, "Every room I walk into, I ask, who can teach me something here?" When he arrived in America, he didn't know business, film, or politics. So he asked questions. He listened to mentors. He surrounded himself with people smarter than him. That's how he built wealth before Hollywood. That's how he navigated film contracts. That's how he built alliances as governor. He tells the story of meeting Milton Friedman, the Nobel Prize-winning economist. Arnold said, "I didn't know half of what he was talking about, so I shut up and listened." Later, those lessons shaped his policies in California. He says, confidence isn't thinking you're always right. It's trusting you can learn what you don't know. The more you learn, the more you realize how much you don't know, and that humility keeps you useful. Arnold also believes in listening during conflict. He says, too many people fight to be heard, not to understand. He met opponents who started as enemies but became partners, simply because he listened first. He tells a story about working across the aisle with Democrats to pass environmental legislation. He said, "We didn't have to agree on everything. We just had to agree on something." By listening, he learned that collaboration isn't compromise, it's leverage. And this applies everywhere. Whether you're trying to improve your relationships, your career, or your mindset, silence can be a superpower. Arnold's advice? Stop trying to win conversations. Start trying to win insights, because every person you meet knows something you don't. And if you listen long enough, they might just hand you the missing piece you've been searching for. Tool 7. Break your mirrors. Arnold says this is the most important tool of all, and the hardest. He says, break your mirrors. Stop looking at yourself so much. In other words, quit obsessing over your own reflection, your own problems, your own achievements. Turn that focus outward. When you're young, it's natural to be self-centered. You're building your identity, your career, your body, your reputation. But at some point, real fulfillment comes from usefulness, from what you give, not what you get. Arnold says, if you want to feel good, do something good for someone else. He saw this firsthand as governor. After years of chasing trophies and applause, what really changed him wasn't winning titles. It was building programs that changed lives. He visited after-school centers, worked with veterans, and met families who told him his decisions mattered. That, he says, is what success should feel like. Not self-worship, service. He learned this idea from his mother. She used to walk the neighborhood in Austria, checking on widows and lonely old men, bringing food or conversation. Arnold would roll his eyes as a kid, but years later he realized she was living the truest version of usefulness. It's why he still works with Special Olympics, environmental charities, and education programs. He says that when he sees people he's helped, the kids who grew up, the veterans who found work, that's when he feels richest. And that's the final transformation of be useful, from ambition to contribution. It's not about losing drive or passion, it's about directing them outward. He says the happiest people he's ever met are the ones who stopped asking, what's in it for me? And started asking, who can I help with what I've learned? Breaking your mirrors means turning away from your own reflection and seeing the bigger picture, family, community, world, because usefulness doesn't end when you reach the top. It begins when you reach back down. The power of purpose. Arnold believes people misunderstand happiness. They think it's something that happens to you when you get enough money, fame, or comfort. But happiness, he says, is a byproduct of usefulness. Purpose is what keeps you alive after you stop chasing yourself. He remembers the first time he stood on the Mr. Olympia stage. The applause was deafening, the lights blinding, the dream complete. But the next morning, he woke up restless. He'd reached the top and felt strangely empty. That's when he realized success without service is a dead end. You need a mission beyond yourself. It could be mentoring someone, building something, teaching, raising a family, volunteering, anything that makes you part of something larger. He says the secret to endless energy isn't caffeine or genetics, it's purpose. When you have a why, you don't burn out. You burn brighter. Arnold often compares life to a relay race. You run your leg as hard as you can, but at the end, you have to pass the baton. Being useful means preparing the next runner to go farther than you did. That's why he keeps writing, teaching, and speaking. He says, I don't want to be remembered for muscles or movies. I want to be remembered for making people stronger inside and out. The real meaning of being useful. If you strip everything away, the fame, the awards, the politics, be useful comes down to one idea. You don't need to be special to live a special life. You just need to show up, give effort, and make yourself useful. Arnold believes that usefulness is the measure of a life well lived. Not how much you accumulate, but how much you contribute. Not how big your name gets, but how many people's lives you quietly improve. And that usefulness is built through daily repetition, the same way muscles are built, one rep at a time. He says, I've met thousands of people who wanted to be great. I've met far fewer who wanted to be useful. But the useful ones, they're the ones who actually change the world. Usefulness means doing what you can, where you are, with what you have. It means showing up when it's inconvenient, giving when no one's watching, and doing it because it's right, not because it's easy. Arnold ends the book with a challenge. He says, don't just admire what others have built. Build something yourself. Be the person who makes things happen. That's the legacy he wants readers to embrace, not just personal success, but personal responsibility. Because every time you choose to be useful, the world gets a little better. Closing reflection. Arnold's life is proof that usefulness scales. You start by making yourself useful to you through discipline, work, and vision. Then you become useful to others through generosity, leadership, and service. Eventually, usefulness becomes the bridge between who you are and what you leave behind. So if you're stuck, lost, or doubting your path, start there. Ask yourself, how can I be useful today? It might be small, helping a friend, learning something new, taking one step toward your dream. But that's how every great story starts. Arnold says he never believed in fate, only in force. He didn't wait for the world to hand him purpose. He forged it, one rep, one idea, one act of usefulness at a time. And that's the true Schwarzenegger philosophy. Don't just live, be useful. If you enjoyed this summary of Be Useful by Arnold Schwarzenegger, be sure to like and subscribe. Also, share this video with someone you know. There are many people out there just like you, trying to learn and grow. Being useful might also mean helping them find these resources too. Take care. See you next time.